He appeared the first winter after the roads closed. No one saw him arrive. There were no tire tracks in the snow, no footprints leading up the mountain path, no story that explained how a stranger could simply begin to exist in a place where everyone knew everyone else. Yet by the time the first storm settled and the pine trees bowed under thick white silence, the mountain man was already there, standing at the edge of the village with a sack over his shoulder and eyes that seemed older than the hills themselves. At first, people thought he was just another wanderer. The mountains drew that kind, men who had lost something, or were trying to forget, or believed there was something hidden in the wilderness that could not be found anywhere else. But wanderers usually spoke. They asked for food, or work, or directions. They had stories, even if those stories were lies. This man did not speak unless spoken to. He wore a coat made of rough, layered cloth that looked stitched together from pieces of different garments, some new, some impossibly old. His beard was dark with streaks of silver, though his face beneath it showed no clear age. He could have been 30. He could have been 60. His eyes were the strangest thing about him, gray, but not the soft gray of clouds or smoke. They were the kind of gray that felt like stone, like something that had been buried deep in the earth for centuries. The first person to approach him was an old shopkeeper named Karim. Karim had lived in the village his entire life. He had seen droughts, landslides, winters so harsh that even the wolves kept their distance. He did not believe in superstition, but he respected the unknown. And the man standing quietly at the edge of his shop was certainly unknown. "You lost?" Karim asked, wiping his hands on his apron. The mountain man shook his head. "You looking for work?" Another slow shake. "Then what are you doing here?" The man reached into the sack slung across his shoulder. For a moment, Karim thought he might pull out a weapon, or food, or some strange object. Instead, he brought out a stone. It was small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, smooth and rounded like it had once been part of a riverbed. But it shimmered faintly, as if something inside it caught the light and held it. "For sale," the man said. His voice was low, steady, and carried an odd weight to it, as though every word had been considered long before it was spoken. Karim frowned. "It's just a rock." The man did not argue. He simply held it out. Something about the stone made Karim hesitate. He reached out, took it, and turned it over in his fingers. It was warmer than he expected. Not hot, not even noticeably heated, but not cold either, despite the freezing air. "How much?" Karim asked. The man named a price. It was not cheap. It was not expensive. It was exactly the kind of price that made a man pause, not enough to laugh at, not enough to refuse outright. Karim considered it for a long moment, then nodded and handed over the money. The mountain man placed the coins into his pocket without counting them, slung his sack over his shoulder again, and walked away. That should have been the end of it. But that night, Karim did not sleep. He sat in his small house behind the shop, the stone resting on the table in front of him. The fire crackled softly in the hearth, but the warmth did not reach him the way it usually did. His thoughts kept circling back to the stone. It felt different, not magical. Karim did not believe in magic, but present, in a way he could not explain. It was as though the stone had a kind of quiet awareness. At some point, he realized he was speaking aloud. "What are you?" he muttered. The stone, of course, did not answer. But something shifted. Not in the room, not in the air. Inside him, a memory surfaced, clear, sharp, and unexpected. He was a boy again, standing by the river with his father. The water was bright and fast moving, the sunlight dancing across its surface. His father was laughing, teaching him how to skip stones. Karim had not thought about that day in years. His father had died long ago, and most memories of him had faded into a blur of impressions. But now, it was as vivid as if it were happening again. Karim stared at the stone. He did not sleep that night. By morning, the story had begun. At first, Karim kept it to himself. He was not a foolish man, and he knew how easily strange tales could turn into rumors that brought more trouble than understanding. But over the next few days, something changed in him. He became quieter, more thoughtful. Customers noticed that he sometimes paused mid-sentence, as if listening to something only he could hear. And then, eventually, he told someone. "Not everything, just enough. There's something about that stone," he said to a regular customer. "It makes you remember things." The customer laughed at first. But curiosity has a way of spreading, especially in a small village where there are few distractions. Within a week, people began asking about the mountain man. Within 2 They started looking for him. He appeared unpredictably, sometimes near the edge of the forest, sometimes on the narrow road that led up the mountain, sometimes standing silently in the village square, as if he had always been there. Each time, he carried his sack. Each time, he offered stones. They were never identical. Some were dark and matte, others faintly translucent. Some were rough, others polished smooth. But all of them had that same subtle quality, the sense that they were more than they appeared. And always, the price was the same kind of price. Enough to matter. Not enough to stop someone who truly wanted one. People began buying them. At first, it was just curiosity. A novelty. A strange thing to own. But the stories began to spread. A woman who had lost her sister years ago claimed she could hear her voice again when she held the stone. A farmer said the stone helped him remember where he had buried tools he thought were gone forever. A young boy who struggled in school suddenly began to recall lessons with perfect clarity. Not all the stories were so simple. Some were unsettling. A man named Rafik, known for his temper, bought a stone and locked himself in his house for 3 days. When he emerged, he was quieter, subdued. When asked what happened, he only said, "I remembered everything." He never explained what that meant. Another woman returned her stone. She did not ask for her money back. She simply placed it on the ground in front of the mountain man and said, "I don't want to know those things again." The mountain man did not ask questions. He took the stone back and placed it in his sack. As winter deepened, the village changed. It was subtle at first. A shift in how people spoke to one another. Old arguments resurfaced, but so did old kindnesses. People began reconnecting with memories they had long buried, some good, some painful. The stones did not create anything new. They revealed. And that was both their power and their danger. Karim watched it all with growing unease. He kept his stone, but he used it less and less. The memories it brought were not always the ones he wanted. Some nights, he would sit alone, the stone in his hand, and find himself reliving moments he had spent years trying to forget. Mistakes, regrets, words spoken in anger, opportunities missed. It was not just nostalgia. It was truth. One evening, as the sky turned a deep, heavy gray and the wind howled down from the mountains, Karim made a decision. He went looking for the mountain man. He found him at the edge of the forest, standing exactly where he had first appeared. "You need to leave," Karim said. The mountain man tilted his head slightly. "Why? You know what those things are doing to people." "Yes. Then you understand why they shouldn't be here." The man considered this. "They are remembering," he said. "They are suffering. They were already suffering." Karim clenched his fists. "Not like this." The mountain man's gaze remained steady. "Truth does not create suffering. It reveals it." Karim had no immediate answer to that. The wind picked up, carrying snow through the air in sharp, stinging gusts. "Where did they come from?" Karim asked finally. The man did not respond right away. Instead, he reached into his sack and pulled out another stone. He held it up between them. "From where things are not forgotten," he said. Karim frowned. "That doesn't mean anything." "It does," the man replied quietly. "You simply do not understand it." Karim took a step forward. "Then explain it." The mountain man studied him for a long moment. Then he did something he had not done before. He offered the stone, not for sale, but freely. Karim hesitated. "I already have one. This one is different." "They're all different." "Yes," the man said. "But this one is yours." Something in his tone made Karim pause. Slowly, reluctantly, he reached out and took the stone. The moment his fingers closed around it, the world shifted. The forest disappeared. The cold vanished. He was somewhere else. Not a place he recognized. Not exactly, but it felt familiar in a way that defied logic. The ground beneath his feet was made of stone, stretching endlessly in all directions. The sky above was dark, not with night, but with depth, like looking into an ocean turned upside down. And everywhere, scattered across that vast expanse, were stones. Millions of them. Billions. Each one faintly glowing. Each one, alive, in a way he could not explain. "What is this?" Karim whispered. "This," the mountain man's voice echoed, though he was nowhere to be seen, "is where they come from." Karim turned slowly, his heart pounding. "These are memories," the voice continued. "Every moment that has ever been lived. Every thought. Every feeling. Nothing is lost. Nothing is erased." Karim felt a wave of dizziness. "That's not possible." "It is." "Then why? Why do we forget?" There was a pause. "Because you must," the voice said. "To live." Karim looked down at the stone in his hand. It pulsed faintly. You're taking them, he said. Bringing them back. I am offering them, the voice corrected. To people who aren't ready for them. No one is ever ready. The ground seemed to shift beneath Kareem's feet, and suddenly he was back in the forest, the cold air biting at his skin, the wind howling around him. The mountain man stood in front of him, exactly as before. Kareem staggered slightly, gripping the stone tightly. This is wrong, he said. The man did not argue. Then why are you doing it? Kareem demanded. For the first time, something like emotion flickered across the mountain man's face. Because forgetting has a cost, he said. Kareem shook his head. So does remembering. Yes. Then what's the point? The man looked past him, toward the village, where lights glowed faintly through the falling snow. To remind you that both are part of being human. Kareem said nothing. The wind howled louder. Will you stop? He asked finally. The mountain man did not answer immediately. Instead, he reached into his sack once more, as if weighing something unseen. Then he closed it. I will leave, he said. Kareem blinked. Just like that, yes. And the stones? They will remain. Kareem's grip tightened. That's not enough. It is all I can offer. The silence between them stretched. Will you come back? Kareem asked. The mountain man looked at him, those gray, stone-like eyes unreadable. Everyone comes back, he said. And then, as quietly as he had appeared, he turned and walked into the forest. The snow swallowed his footsteps. The wind erased his presence, and he was gone. By spring, the village was different. Not broken, not healed, but changed. Some people kept their stones. Others buried them, or threw them into the river, or locked them away where they would not be found. The stories faded, as stories do. But the effects remained. Kareem still had his. He kept it in a small wooden box behind the counter of his shop. Some days, he would take it out and hold it, letting the memories come. Other days, he would leave it untouched. He had learned something, in the end. Not everything needed to be remembered. Not everything needed to be forgotten. And somewhere, high in the mountains, beyond the reach of roads and maps, the man with the sack continued his journey, carrying with him pieces of a world that never truly disappeared. No one knew where he went. No one knew where the stones came from. But sometimes, on quiet nights when the wind moved just right, people swore they could hear something beneath the silence. Not a voice, not a sound, but the faint echo of something waiting to be remembered. Then she looked up at him. You, she said. Kareem's stomach tightened. What about me? Amina's grip on the stone tightened slightly. You go back, she said softly. A long silence followed. Back where? Kareem asked. To where the stones come from. The words hit him harder than he expected. Kareem shook his head. No. Amina didn't argue. You don't have to believe me, she said. It's still going to happen. Kareem turned away, running a hand across his face. You're just a child. Yes, she said simply. But the stone isn't. Kareem looked at her again. For a moment, he didn't see a child. He saw someone standing on the edge of something vast and unknowable. Just like he had been. Show me, he said. Amina hesitated. It doesn't work like that. Then how does it work? She thought for a moment. It shows what matters, she said. Not what you want. Kareem almost laughed at that. That sounds familiar. Amina didn't smile. Kareem sighed. Then why are you here? Because you're the only one who understands what these things are. Kareem shook his head. I don't understand them. You understand more than anyone else, she said. Kareem looked at the stone in her hand again. It pulsed faintly. Different from the others. Unsettling. What did you see? He asked quietly. Amina's voice dropped to almost a whisper. I saw the place you saw, she said. The one with all the stones. Kareem froze. And? He asked. And it's changing. Something cold settled in his chest. What do you mean, changing? There are more stones, she said. New ones. Kareem frowned. That doesn't make sense. They're not from the past, she said. Silence. Kareem stared at her. Then where are they from? Amina met his gaze. They haven't happened yet. The words lingered in the air, heavy and impossible. Kareem shook his head slowly. No. But doubt had already taken root. If that's true, he said, then someone is making them. Amina didn't respond. She didn't need to. Kareem felt the answer forming before he could stop it. Or something, he muttered. The wind outside picked up, rattling the wooden walls of the shop. Kareem walked to the counter and opened the small wooden box. His stone lay inside, still, silent, waiting. He picked it up. For a long moment, he simply held it, feeling its familiar weight. Then he looked at Amina. If what you're saying is true, he said, then this isn't over. Amina shook her head. No, she said. It's just beginning. Kareem closed his eyes briefly. He remembered the vast expanse of stone. The endless field of memories. The voice that had spoken to him. Nothing is lost. Nothing is erased. He opened his eyes. Then we need to find him, he said. Amina frowned. The mountain man. Kareem nodded. But you said he left. He did, Kareem replied. But not everything that leaves is gone. Amina looked down at her stone again. It flickered slightly. Do you know where to start? She asked. Kareem stepped toward the door. The sky outside had darkened, though it was not yet night. Storm clouds gathered over the mountains. I have an idea, he said. He opened the door. Cold air rushed in. Amina hesitated only for a moment before following him. Behind them, the shop stood quiet. The wooden box remained open. Empty. And somewhere, far beyond the reach of the village, beyond the forest, beyond even the highest peaks, something shifted. Not in the world people could see, but in the place where all things were kept. Where every memory rested, where every future waited, a new stone appeared, and this one did not glow softly. It burned. Spring did not arrive all at once. It came slowly, as if the mountain itself was uncertain whether it was time to let go of winter. Snow melted in patches, revealing dark earth beneath. The river, once frozen and silent, began to move again, first with a quiet trickle, then with a steady, living sound that echoed through the valley. Life returned in small ways. Doors stayed open a little longer. Smoke rose more frequently from chimneys. Children ventured outside, their laughter cautious at first, as though testing whether the world was truly safe again. But beneath it all, something remained unchanged. The stones had not disappeared. Kareem noticed it first, not because he was looking for it, but because he had learned how to notice the things others overlooked. A man came into his shop one morning, searching for salt. His hands trembled slightly as he counted his coins. Kareem recognized him, Hassan, a farmer who lived near the edge of the village. You look tired, Kareem said. Hassan gave a weak smile. Didn't sleep much. Kareem nodded slowly. His eyes drifted to Hassan's pocket, where a faint, almost imperceptible glow pulsed beneath the fabric. You still have it, Kareem said. Hassan's smile faded. For now, he replied. Kareem did not press further. He had learned that everyone carried their stone differently. Some wore it like a burden. Others like a secret. And some, though they would never admit it, like a kind of addiction. Days passed. The village settled into a fragile rhythm, one that balanced between forgetting and remembering. People spoke less about the mountain man, but they spoke more carefully to each other. Words carried weight now, because everyone knew. Not everything was hidden anymore. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the mountains and cast long shadows across the village, Kareem heard something unusual. A knock. It was not strange for someone to come to his shop, but this knock was different. It was slow, deliberate, and oddly familiar. Kareem opened the door. A young girl stood there. He recognized her immediately, Amina, the daughter of a woman who had once returned her stone in fear. But the girl looked different. Her eyes were wide, not with innocence, but with something heavier. Something that did not belong to someone her age. Can I come in? She asked. Kareem stepped aside without a word. She entered quietly, her gaze moving around the shop as if searching for something invisible. You have won, she said. It was not a question. Kareem closed the door behind her. Yes, she nodded. So do I. Kareem felt a subtle tension rise in his chest. Your mother, she doesn't know, Amina interrupted. There was no defiance in her voice. Only certainty. Kareem studied her for a moment. Where did you get it? Amina hesitated. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled it out. The stone was smaller than most he had seen. Dark, almost black, but with a faint glow deep inside it, like embers buried under ash. I found it, she said. Kareem frowned. Found it where? In the forest. A chill moved through him, not from the air, but from something deeper. That's not possible, he said. Amina tilted her head slightly. Why not? Because. Kareem stopped. Because the mountain man had left. Because there were no more stones. Because that was how it was supposed to be. But the stone in her hand said otherwise. Kareem exhaled slowly. What does it do? Amina looked down at it. It shows me things, she said. Not like the others. Kareem's expression hardened. What do you mean? They remember the past, she said. This one shows what hasn't happened yet. The room seemed to grow quieter. Kareem felt his heartbeat in his ears. That's not possible, he repeated, but this time his voice lacked conviction. Amina shrugged slightly. That's what I thought. Kareem stepped closer. What have you seen? The girl hesitated again. The storm broke before they reached the edge of the village. Wind tore through the narrow paths like something alive, dragging snow and dust into spirals that blurred the world into shifting gray. The mountains disappeared behind a veil of moving cloud, and the last traces of sunlight were swallowed whole. Kareem stopped. This isn't normal, he said. Amina stood beside him, her small frame steady despite the wind. She didn't seem afraid. If anything, she seemed certain. It is now, she replied. Kareem glanced at her. Your stone. She nodded slightly. It started like this in what I saw. Kareem exhaled slowly. That's not comforting. No, she agreed. For a moment, neither of them moved. The village behind them had already begun to close itself off, doors shut tight, lanterns dimmed, people retreating into whatever safety they believed walls could provide. But Kareem knew better. If the stones were changing, if something new was happening, then staying inside wouldn't stop it. Which way? He asked. Amina lifted her hand and held the dark stone out in front of her. It flickered, no longer a steady glow, but something unstable, like a flame struggling against the wind. She turned slowly, as if listening to something only she could hear. Then she pointed toward the forest. Kareem didn't hesitate. They moved. The path into the trees was barely visible now, swallowed by shadow and storm. Branches creaked overhead, bending under the force of the wind. Snow fell harder, sharper, stinging against their skin. Kareem pulled his coat tighter around himself. If he's out here, he said, raising his voice over the storm, he's either a fool, or something else entirely. Amina didn't respond. Her focus remained fixed ahead. Step by step, they pushed deeper into the forest. Time became uncertain. Minutes stretched. Or maybe it was longer. The storm distorted everything: sound, distance, even thought. The world narrowed to movement and breath and the faint, flickering light in Amina's hand. Then, suddenly, she stopped. Kareem nearly walked into her. What is it? Amina didn't answer. She was staring ahead. Kareem followed her gaze. At first, he saw nothing but darkness and shifting snow. Then, a shape, tall, still, standing between the trees. Kareem's chest tightened. The mountain man. He hadn't changed. Same layered coat. Same unmoving posture. Same gray, unreadable eyes. As if no time had passed at all. You came, the man said. His voice cut through the storm with unnatural clarity. Kareem stepped forward. You knew we would. The man's gaze shifted briefly to Amina, then back to Kareem. Yes. Amina clutched her stone tighter. Then you know what's happening. The mountain man tilted his head slightly. Something has begun. Kareem frowned. You don't sound surprised. I am not. Then you knew this would happen. The man was silent for a moment. Not exactly, he said. But I knew it was possible. Kareem's frustration flared. Possible. You left those things here. You started this. I revealed something, the man replied calmly. What happens after is not mine alone. Amina stepped forward now, her voice sharper than before. The stones are changing. The man looked at her again. I can see that. No, she said, shaking her head. You don't understand. They're not just showing the past anymore. A flicker of something passed through the man's expression. A recognition. Show me, he said. Amina hesitated. Then she extended her hand. The dark stone pulsed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the air shifted. Kareem felt it immediately, that same disorienting pull he had experienced before. But this time, it was different. Stronger. Less stable. The forest vanished. The storm vanished. They stood once more in that endless expanse of stone. But it was no longer still. The ground trembled faintly beneath their feet. The sky, if it could be called that, seemed deeper, darker, as though something moved within it. And the stones, there were more. Far more than before. They stretched endlessly in every direction, glowing in countless variations of light. But some of them were different. They burned, not with soft light, but with intensity, like embers pushed to the edge of becoming fire. Kareem turned slowly, overwhelmed. This wasn't here before. No, the mountain man said quietly. Amina's voice trembled slightly. These are the new ones. Kareem stepped toward one of the burning stones. It pulsed rapidly, almost violently. What are they? He asked. The mountain man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he knelt beside one. For the first time, he looked uncertain. They should not exist, he said. Kareem looked at him sharply. That's not an answer. They are not memories, the man continued. Not yet. Amina swallowed. They're futures. The word echoed in the vast space. Kareem felt a cold weight settle over him. That's impossible. Is it? The mountain man asked. Kareem gestured around them. This place shouldn't exist either. The man said nothing. Kareem looked back at the burning stones. If these are futures, he said slowly, then whose? Amina answered. Ours. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Kareem shook his head. No. That means they're not fixed, the mountain man said. Kareem frowned. What? The man stood. Memories are what has been, he said. They are complete, unchanging. He gestured toward the burning stones. But these, or what might be. Kareem's voice hardened. Then why are they here? The mountain man met his gaze. Because something has started to remember the future. The words didn't make sense. And yet, they felt true. Amina stepped closer to one of the burning stones. It showed me something, she said quietly. Kareem turned to her. What? She hesitated. Then she whispered, the village. Kareem's chest tightened. What about it? Amina's eyes flicked toward him. It's gone. The ground seemed to drop beneath him. No, he said immediately. I saw it, she insisted. Empty. Broken. Like no one was ever there. Kareem shook his head, backing away slightly. That's not real. It could be, the mountain man said. Kareem turned on him. Or it could be wrong. Yes, the man agreed. That stopped him. Kareem frowned. What? These stones do not show certainty, the mountain man said. They show possibility. Kareem looked between them. Then why show them at all? A faint, almost imperceptible sadness crossed the man's face. For the same reason as before, he said. To reveal. Kareem laughed bitterly. That worked out so well the first time. Amina didn't smile. She was staring at one of the burning stones. It's getting brighter, she said. Kareem followed her gaze. She was right. The stone pulsed faster now, its light intensifying. The air around it seemed to distort. The mountain man stepped forward sharply. Do not touch it. But it was too late. Amina's fingers brushed the surface. The world shattered. Not shifted. Not faded. Shattered. Kareem felt himself pulled apart. Thought, memory, sensation, everything fractured into something he could not hold together. And then, silence. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer in the field of stones. He was standing in the village. But it wasn't the same. The sky was wrong, dark, heavy, unmoving. The houses stood, but not as they should. Some were broken. Others leaned at unnatural angles. Doors hung open. Windows shattered. There was no sound. No wind. No voices. Kareem turned slowly. Amina. No answer. He took a step forward. The ground felt hollow. As if it didn't fully exist. This isn't real, he muttered. But it felt real. Too real. He moved through the village, his heartbeat loud in the silence. Then he saw it. His shop. The door was open. He stepped inside. The wooden box lay on the counter. Broken. The stone, gone. Kareem's breath caught. Behind him, something shifted. He turned. And there, standing in the doorway, was himself. Older. Tired. Eyes hollow with something deeper than exhaustion. You came, the older Kareem said. The words sent a chill through him. What is this? Kareem demanded. The older version of him didn't answer immediately. Instead, he stepped inside, closing the door behind him. It's what happens if you don't understand in time, he said. Kareem's pulse quickened. Understand what? The older Kareem looked at him. The stones don't just show, he said. They change things. Kareem shook his head. No, that's not. It is, the older version interrupted. Every time someone looks, every time they hold onto what they see, it shapes what comes next. Kareem felt something twist inside him. That's not how it works. It is now. Silence fell between them. Kareem's voice dropped. Then this is because of us. The older Kareem didn't look away. Yes. The word hit harder than anything else. Kareem staggered back slightly. No, you wanted to understand, the older version said. So did everyone else. Kareem's mind raced. Then we can stop it. A faint, sad smile appeared on the older Kareem's face. That's what I thought too. Kareem's chest tightened. What do you mean? The older version stepped closer. You can't stop something once it's been seen, he said. The air grew heavier. Then why am I here? Kareem asked. The older Kareem looked at him carefully. Because this hasn't happened yet. The words echoed. Kareem's breath caught. This is a chance, the older version continued. Not a certainty. Hope flickered. Small. Fragile. What do I have to do? Kareem asked. The older Kareem hesitated. Then he said, "You have to let go." Kareem frowned. "Of what?" The answer came quietly. "Everything you want to know." Silence. Deep. Unforgiving. Kareem shook his head slowly. "That's not an answer. It's the only one." The world around them began to crack, thin fractures spreading across walls, across the ground, across the air itself. Time was breaking. "You don't have much time," the older Kareem said. Kareem stepped forward. "Wait." But the figure was already fading. "Remember this," the older version said, his voice growing distant. "Not everything that can be known, should be." The world collapsed, and Kareem fell back into darkness. Kareem woke with a violent gasp. Cold air filled his lungs like shards of ice, and for a moment he couldn't tell where he was, whether the broken village still surrounded him or if he had fallen somewhere deeper, somewhere he could not return from. Then sound rushed back. Wind. The storm. Amina's voice. Kareem. He blinked rapidly. The forest snapped back into place around him, trees bending under the force of the storm, snow slashing sideways through the air. He was on his knees. Amina stood a few steps away, breathing hard, the dark stone in her hand now dim, its furious glow reduced to a weak, trembling pulse. The mountain man was watching them both. Carefully. "What did you see?" he asked. Kareem didn't answer immediately. His hands trembled as he pushed himself to his feet. His mind still echoed with the image of the empty village, and the face that had been his own. "It's worse than I thought," Kareem said quietly. Amina looked at him. "You saw it too?" Kareem nodded. She swallowed. "Then it's real." "No," the mountain man said firmly. Both of them turned toward him. "It is possible," he continued. "Not inevitable." Kareem let out a sharp breath. "You keep saying that like it changes anything." "It changes everything," the man replied. Kareem stepped toward him. "I saw what happens if we don't stop this. And I am telling you," the mountain man said, his voice steady but heavier now, "that what you saw only exists if you choose it." Kareem clenched his jaw. "That's not how it felt." "Of course not," the man said. "Possibility feels like truth when you stand inside it." Amina looked between them. "Then how do we know which future is real?" The wind howled louder, as if the mountain itself was listening. The mountain man's gaze shifted to the stone in her hand. "You don't," he said. Silence followed. "That's the point." Kareem stared at him in disbelief. "That's not an answer, that's a problem." "Yes," the man said. "It always was." Kareem ran a hand through his hair, pacing a few steps through the snow. "People are going to keep using them. They'll keep looking, keep searching for answers, and in doing so," the mountain man interrupted, "they will shape what they find." Kareem stopped. That echoed too closely with what his older self had said. "They change things," Kareem muttered. The mountain man gave a faint nod. "Not directly, but through you." Amina tightened her grip on her stone. "Then we destroy them." Both men looked at her. "If they're the problem," she said, "we get rid of them." Kareem hesitated. It sounded simple. Too simple. "They're not objects like anything else," he said slowly. "You saw that place. There are too many." "Then we destroy the ones here," Amina insisted. Kareem looked at the mountain man. "Would that work?" The man was quiet for a long moment. "No," he said. Amina's expression fell. "Why not?" "Because the stones are not the source," he replied. "They are reflections." "Of what?" Kareem asked. The mountain man looked directly at him. "Of you." The answer landed heavily. Kareem shook his head. "That doesn't make sense. You think of them as something separate," the man said. "Something external. But they exist because you do." Amina frowned. "So we made them. Not consciously," the man said. "But every memory, every fear, every hope, all of it leaves an imprint." Kareem's mind raced. "And now, the future is doing the same." The mountain man didn't answer right away. "That is what it appears to be." Amina looked down at her stone, unsettled. "Then why now?" Another long pause. Then the man said quietly, "Because something has changed." Kareem narrowed his eyes. "What?" The mountain man's gaze moved past them, toward the village hidden beyond the storm. "For a long time," he said, "humans feared the past." Kareem frowned. "That's not exactly a mystery. But now," the man continued, "you fear the future more." The words hung in the air. Amina spoke first. "That doesn't explain anything. It explains everything," he said softly. Kareem exhaled slowly. "Fear creates these things. Yes. Then we just stop being afraid." A bitter edge crept into his voice. The mountain man didn't react. "If it were that simple," he said, "none of this would exist." The storm intensified, as if pressing closer, listening harder. Kareem looked back toward the direction of the village. They're going to start seeing these too, he said. The futures. Yes. And they won't understand what they're looking at. No. Kareem closed his eyes briefly. The image returned. Empty streets, broken homes, silence. If they believe it, he said slowly, if they act like it's already happened, they will bring it closer, the mountain man finished. Kareem opened his eyes. Then he understood. Not completely. But enough. We have to stop them from seeing, he said. Amina looked up. How? Kareem hesitated. Then his voice dropped. We take away the choice. The words felt heavy even as he said them. Amina stepped back slightly. What do you mean? Kareem looked at her. We gather the stones, he said. All of them. And we hide them. Or bury them. Or something. Amina shook her head immediately. People won't give them up. I know. Then how? We don't ask. Silence. Even the storm seemed to hesitate. Amina stared at him. That's not right. Kareem's jaw tightened. Neither is what's coming. You don't know that, she said. I saw it. So did I, she replied. And he said it's not certain. Kareem turned away, frustration rising. You think I'm willing to take that risk? Amina didn't answer. She didn't need to. Kareem looked back at the mountain man. Tell her. The man remained still. Tell her what happens if we do nothing. The mountain man's expression didn't change. I cannot tell you what to choose, he said. Kareem's anger flared. You started this. No, the man said calmly. I revealed it. That's the same thing. It is not. The tension snapped between them like a breaking branch. Kareem took a step closer. Then why are you here now? The mountain man met his gaze. To see what you will do with it. Kareem let out a sharp, humorless laugh. So we're just an experiment to you. For the first time, the mountain man's voice carried something heavier. No, he said. You are a reflection. Kareem froze. The words echoed in his mind. Amina spoke softly. What does that mean? The man looked at both of them. It means, he said, that I am not separate from this either. The storm roared louder, as if in response. Kareem stared at him. You're one of us. The man tilted his head slightly. Not as you understand it, he said. But I am not outside this. Amina frowned. Then why can't you stop it? The answer came quietly. Because it is not mine to stop. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Kareem looked back toward the village again. Lights flickered faintly through the storm. People were still there, unaware. For now, he turned back, decision settling into his expression. I'm going back, he said. Amina's eyes widened. Kareem, I'm not waiting for it to get worse. She stepped toward him. And what if you're wrong? Kareem hesitated. Just for a second. Then he said, then I'll live with that. Amina's voice softened. And if you're right, but this isn't the way to stop it. Kareem didn't answer. Because he didn't know. The mountain man watched them both. Every choice shapes what comes next, he said quietly. Kareem nodded once. Then I'm choosing to act. He turned. Started back toward the village. Amina stood frozen for a moment. Then she looked down at the stone in her hand. It flickered again. Unstable. Uncertain. Just like everything else. She looked up. At the mountain man. At least tell me this, she said. Is there a way to end it? The man was silent for a long